Oh yeah, I'm back, bitches. It's January, it ain't April, so there's no fooling. There is 7 Deadly Sins content back on my channel. Welcome, Sins and Commandments alike, for Nanatsu no Taizai, season number 4, also known as 7 Deadly Sins, Dragons, Judgment, the final season, episode 1 review. And if you guys are wondering, wow, that's, if you're new to the channel, you're thinking to yourself, you already called me a bitch right off the bat. That's a weird way to open up a video, right? Well, for a very brief 30-second history, I started this channel based on reviewing 7 Deadly Sins. It was my first video on my old channel, which unfortunately got deleted. And now here on my second channel, it's what I started uploading before the end of the manga was happening. So I've been reviewing and covering 7 Deadly Sins and all its content since my channel began. So it's near and dear to my heart. It was one of my big drives. I've always enjoyed this series. So it's been a long time since we've had some staples of 7 Deadly Sins content. Not since Wrath of the Gods finished, which, let's be honest, that was not fun. Season 3 of 7 Deadly Sins. So here we get an opportunity. Because from what I understood is that right off the bat, this is not going to have any excuses. This season is not going to have a single excuse to its name. It's got no time restraints, no change up in the workforce and the production companies or anything like that. They have the budget, they have the time, they have the means, they have the content. There shouldn't be as many abysmal sins, pun intended, covered and carried over from season 3 into season 4 here. Now, I know some of you guys are wondering, season 4, isn't Wrath of the Gods season 4? That's a thing that Netflix did. They refer to a little OVA special of 4 episodes as season 2. So if you guys follow the Netflix stuff, this is technically season 5, right? Now, something else to note right before we get underway is that this will not contain manga spoilers. These episode reviews will not contain manga spoilers, so if you're an anime-only viewer, don't fret, don't worry. I'm only going to be talking about things. I might do some comparisons to the manga chapters that are relevant to the episodes, any noticeable changes, anything I liked or disliked better or worse in the anime or the manga, but it will all stay relevant to the episode. Nothing from the manga that hasn't already been revealed in the anime will be spoiled in these reviews. So don't fret about that. But if you are curious about my thoughts about what went on in the manga, of course, my manga reviews, or at least most of them, are still up on this channel. There is a playlist. You can go check that out. And if you didn't find my channel before season 3, or season 2 and all that stuff, I believe I did season 2 as well. So season 2 and season 3 episode reviews are also out in a playlist on my channel if you're curious about my thoughts by an episode basis on those. Now, enough of the plugging, enough of the self-promotion. Let's go into the episode 1 review. So, I like the episode. So if that's all you wanted to hear from my review and you don't want to watch the next 10 minutes of this, feel free, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and move on. But I liked the episode. I did. I was too critical when I first watched this episode. There, I said it. I was too critical. I was a little too harsh. And I'm going to tell you guys right now why. I think that even though it's been over a year since season 3 happened, I think some of that biasm, some of that resentment, some of that whatever you want to call it, sort of seeped through when I was watching this. Because as I said, I liked the episode. I really did. I enjoyed the episode. But the thing is that I found upon editing my initial review, because I watched the episode, I hit record, and I reviewed it. And it was kind of long, but it was more of a rant, even though I enjoyed the episode. And upon editing, I realized, you know what, I got to go back and rewatch the episode. So I rewatched the episode, and then I realized I was really nitpicking. And I was almost looking for things that weren't there. I was complaining about things that were only in a couple of shots and not blatant throughout the entire episode. There were some bad shots in this episode, and we'll get to those. But for the most part, this episode was actually handled quite well. I just need to accept the fact that personally, A1 Pictures character designs, especially for Meliodas' hair and small things like that, are always going to look cleaner and better. And the new one, by Studio Dean is just not going to be for me. And that's a nitpick, and I sort of need to get over that and just look past that, right? So when we were in this episode, it followed the Purgatory Bond stuff quite well. And actually, I really enjoyed the extra little added effects, the extra little filler, seeing what the terrain was, watching Bond go through this. We cut he's at the beginning of the episode, strong way to open the episode, of course, and then we end off with Ban looking through Purgatory for the captain, for Meliodas at the end of the episode. I really enjoyed that, and especially, once again, no spoilers, guys, no spoilers for the manga, but a comparison, why not? There was one small thing that I thought was handled better in the manga, and they had the opportunity here to do it. They didn't really pull it off, but they also added to it by showing us all those terrain changes, from an acid cloud to a volcano to a blizzard. They really showed Ban's struggle in Purgatory and really sort of stretched it out, and I really enjoyed that because that's the point of anime. Anime can do it right. They can show visualization better, the animation, how things are affected. Some things they did really well. And the Purgatory stuff, by showing us the terrain changes and showing us the lapsings of time and how time just is going on, and Ban doesn't seem to be getting anywhere, was really handled quite well, in my opinion. I really enjoyed that. The other storyline we follow, because we're following 3, and if they keep this up, I'll come back to that, but if they keep this up, it'll be better pacing than the manga, plot-wise. It really will. No spoilers, but I'll get to that at some point. But the second part they follow is, of course, Esteros at the end of the last season stole away Elizabeth and went off. King, Dedi, the Archangels, Gother, they're all following. They're all following to sort of try to get Elizabeth back. Nothing really happens there. It's just showing that, hey, remember this? This is still going on. And then they jump ship, right? Then they jump over to the big thing. The big thing that a lot of people, once again, Purgatory Ban stuff is what a lot of people are hyped for. It was definitely a top moment for a lot of fans in Seven Deadly Sins. We all enjoyed that section. But the other big thing is, of course, the Battle of Six. Now, I think so far the Battle of Six has been handled quite well. There isn't really a whole lot to go off of yet, and let's be frank here. The best shots that we got were in the trailer. Something that I brought up in the trailer reaction, and something I'm concerned about. But the trailer doesn't seem to have spoiled too much. The trailer seems to have kept, most of the stuff hidden. So we're not. We still got plenty of animation, plenty of fights. We got Esterosa versus the crowd, the Archangels and King and stuff. We've got the Battle of Six going down, and we're gonna have Purgatory Ban and all that stuff happening all simultaneously, all concurrent in episode 2, 3, etc. These battles aren't going to be over in a single episode, so that gives me hope thus far. Because, as I said, some of the best shots of, Escanor slicing and stuff were all in the trailer. And I was a little worried because they are some of the nicest shots in this episode. But unlike when I first watched the episode, I realized that the other shots, while not as clean or not as detailed or not as nice, were still not badly animated. They're not poor shots. They're just not great. They're just not fantastic. But they're certainly passable. They're fine. They're not as bad as I initially thought when I watched the episode. Upon going back, I went, well, what? That's not that bad, and how else would you handle it, really? It's basically a shot for shot of the manga, so it's not that bad. And the Battle of Six is super hype, guys. I know for anime-only viewers, you guys are probably thinking, man, this is going down. A couple of changes that they made, in all honesty, they made two changes that I really didn't, that didn't really matter, but I'll bring them up anyways. Two changes is, one, Chandler and Cusack were already in their pacifier and napping demon forms. And actually, Cusack's transformation, they added a little flair there, and that was nice to see. They sort of skipped over Chandler's because we already saw it. And I was kind of like, you could have done both. That would have been cool. But either way, we get Chandler and Cusack transformed. That's really cool. We get the shot from the manga with all of them staring each other down sort of idea. Aforementioned the Battle of Six. Really, really cool. As I said, some faraway shots of characters don't look the best. They sort of look poorly detailed or look like they're melting. I think it's just the thin black lines they use on them or something. I don't know what it is, but the characters sometimes don't look the best from the faraway shots. The proportions are off or the details just not there. But other than that, those shots are few and far in between. They're not as prevalent, especially from season 3, and not as prevalent as when I first saw the episode and I thought they were all through every scene. No, they're actually better than I initially when I first watched. Also, the other thing is Escanor's slash. It was fine. It was cool. It was well animated, but the impact is something to be desired, because it appears that he slashes and nothing really happens. Cusack just jumped out of the way. It was no big deal. The idea was to Escanor show off his cockiness, his manliness, his "did you drop a coin?" Sort of attitude towards these three. That these three, even though these are the top, Hendrickson and Gill Thunder, just amped them up. Like, these are probably the 6 strongest people on Earth. This is going to be a clash of the Titans. Escanor initially slashes, the blowback blocked by Chandler, but Escanor's supposed to look up and go, I like my slash. It didn't really do anything to that cocoon and stuff. It's still said there, and Chandler still screams, how dare you attack the master? But something about the shot doesn't lead us in to believe, unlike the manga, that Escanor wasn't even paying attention to those 3. He was looking down at Chandler, and then he basically blatantly ignored them and went, I'm going to just try my hand, boom, let's go at this cocoon and see what it can do. As though these 3 are so beneath him, which fits Escanor's character, that even right in front of them, he's paying them no mind. That didn't come across as much in the episode, I felt, and so it was a little weaker, because I was looking forward to it, and it was a little lackluster. But that's just a small nitpick. The big thing to take away is that the fight was handled so far, starting off strong. We're doing pretty well. The only other bad thing to bring up, really, is the Ludeshell-Zeldris standoff. That was not new. That's a minus point. That's a 1 whole minus point off of this episode for doing that, because that whoever is in the studio, whoever is in the production and stuff, who's ever animating, they have zero passion right now for the Battle of the Six or Ludeshell-Zeldris. Somebody doesn't care about their fight, because their shots seem to be the weakest. Chandler and Cusack's animated shots are okay. Merlin's shots are fine. Escanor's, for the most part, are fine. Ludeshell or Ludeciel, whatever you want to call them, and Zeldris's are the weakest of the bunch. And that standoff with they're moving so fast looks bad. Like, it didn't translate well from the manga. And because they're doing this shot-by-shot thing, which, once again, guys, this is anime, not OVA, you have poetic license to do it differently. That's the point of anime, is that you have a wider range of things you can do that a manga can't. And here they just went shot for shot, and it does not translate well. They're just standing there. It's supposed to be this epic standoff, and the slashes are going and stuff. And they sort of got lazy and just have the 2 characters. And not even one of the shots, once again, this is one of the bad shots where the character models don't look good. They look a little like they're melting from the faraway shot of this scene. And it's just all the blows going while the 2 characters stand there. And it just, it doesn't look clean. It doesn't look nice. It's a short scene, but it's supposed to be an epic standoff of them testing out each other. How fast can you move your sword? And all I can think is that Flashy Flash, Atomic Samurai, Himura Kenshin from the 90s, for God's sakes, had way better animation. There's way better ways to show somebody moving their swords at godlike speeds and animate it well and handle it better. So that was, honestly, that was the worst shot. That was the worst shot. That was the time that I sort of went, no, I didn't like that. That was the worst part of the episode, was that it's very small. So if that's the worst part and it was so short, then overall, once again, the episode seemed to be pretty good, right? So that's pretty much the episode. We'll jump into the Purgatory Bond stuff at the end there to talk about. But that handles all the real nitpicks and all the cool stuff. Once again, I think the Battle of Six still started off strong. And upon rewatching the episode, I think we're in for some good stuff. I think we'll be okay. I'm less worried than when I first saw the trailers. I'm a little more optimistic than pessimistic now about the season overall, and I'm hoping that this is one of the weaker of the episodes, sort of, all right, bit of a rocky start, but once we jump into, you guys wait for episode 3. Episode 3 is where we're going, all right, episode 1, yeah, episode 2 a little better, but you guys wait till episode 3 or 4 or something, then they're planning something big, and they're going to do some really, because they do have some nice shots here. Cusack has some good shots, Chandler has some good shots, Escanor, etc. So, really good. As I said, overall, the episode was fine. Now, going on to the pacing thing, in the manga, without spoiling, the pacing is handled a lot differently, but I think that this cut up, which is similar to how Peter Jackson cut up the Lord of the Rings stuff, jumping between In Two Towers and Return of the King, unlike the books, which were split into 2 totally separate stories. Frodo, Sam, Gollum you followed, and then you followed Aragorn, Gandalf for a whole half a book. You didn't jump back and forth, right? And, I mean, that's not usually a way you structure a book, but it's what happened in the books. In the movie, they concurrently jump between them. And that is basically the equivalent of what they did here. In the manga, you basically followed one storyline at a time. Here in the anime, this is why I'm going to give it like a boost and say this was handled better. And I go from a 7 out of 10 to a 7.5 is I'll give it that half point for what I believe is going to be better pacing and better payoff. Having all these storylines happen concurrently rather than just following the Esterosa stuff. Just following the Battle of Six, just following Purgatory Ban, for episode upon episode, would have slowed it down. And I remember in the manga, people were a little like, come on, let's go on a weekly basis. So this was an excellent idea on the anime department side to handle it this way. So without spoiling, I think that this is going to be better payoff. It's better for the storylines. It's better for the plot. It's better for our viewers. Better for pacing reasons alone. It's just a better overall way to handle it. So definitely give it that half point there for doing that change. And then at the end of the episode, once again, Bond does find Meliodas. That's really cool. I really like that. We're not spending a bunch of filler time with Bond or anything like that. It was only about 30 seconds, maybe a minute of filler total compared to the manga. And it was handled really nice. The one thing, as I said, I never really cared for the way Studio Dean handled Meliodas' hair. I think they need to hire the dude who did Meliodas' character design in A1 Pictures, hire him and be like, can you fix Meliodas' hair? Because it just looks, something about it looks wrong to me. I don't know what it is. But anyways, the shots look okay. The one thing is the build-up. The music. The music is back. Seven Deadly Sins soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. We all love it, right? And this piano or violin or whatever playing at the end of the episode, the slow pace was very emotional, very well handled. I needed 30 more seconds, 45 more seconds of this scene. That's what I needed. I needed the build up just a little stronger. It was handled really well, just straight from the manga, really good, loved it, but the transition from Meliodas waking up, and you guys can call this a nitpick, but the translation from Meliodas waking up to crying full tears in Bond's arms was too quick for me. For the manga guys, you guys know, and once again, this isn't a spoiler, it's a difference, is that when he first wakes up, Bond says, hey partner, hey captain, how you doing, sort of idea. Meliodas doesn't believe that Bond's there. He believes he's being tortured, he believes he's hallucinating, he believes the effects of purgatory. He doesn't believe it at first. And then Bond basically says, no, it's really me. And he like touches his shoulder or holds it in his hand or something. And then Meliodas, it dawns on him. And then he jumps into that. That little transition piece is missing, and it's noticeably missing. I didn't even reread the manga chapter, but I knew that, no, that was more, it was good, but what was more emotional? Like with the music, it should be better. And I couldn't understand because the music was perfect. And then I went back and I read the volume. I forget, is it volume 35? It's volume 34, something, volume 33, something like that. And I went back and reread it, and then that's where it is. And it did happen a little differently. And all they had to do was have when he jumps into his arms and yells Bond. He could have jumped into his arms before yelling Bond. He could have hugged him, start and have the well up of tears, and then just Bond, and then scream it and start crying and stuff. It jumps too quick for me. He wakes up, Bond, and then just something about it just it could have been better. It was good, could have been better. But once again, that could just be a nitpick, guys. I don't want this episode review to go on for 25, 30 minutes, so we're going to end it here. This will probably be one of the longest ones because, of course, the first 3 or 4 minutes is we're back, baby. We're doing this. 7 Deadly Sins, content, episode reviews, blah, blah, blah. No anime spoiler or manga spoilers, blah, blah, blah. I had to do all that shit. But now, episode 2, of course, will be coming out next week or whatever like that. And we'll be reviewing every single episode. But if you guys are new to the channel and you're curious about what my feelings were for episode by episode basis, as I said at the beginning of the video, go check out my playlists for those. I have those old episode reviews, and of course I reviewed the manga, so if you're interested in that, that's there too. But that's the end of the episode, guys, the end of the episode review. What did you guys think? Am I nitpicking too much? I think 7.5 is a fair score. It wasn't perfect. The animated shots aren't mind-blowing, but there's certainly a step up from what season 3 gave us. And it looks like that this is going to be one of the weaker of the episodes. Once again, some of the faraway shots, not the best. The Zeldris Lucerel standoff, that gets a minus. But outside of that, so far, I don't see anything necessarily wrong. And this is one of the best parts of the story. So let's just see what happens. Either way, like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Don't forget to drink responsibly as always. And I'll see all of you guys again next time. This has been Griever signing out. See you for episode 2.